Let's just say going back to 2021 and living in Texas would not be very enjoyable, especially when it comes to the wintertime. The video that you guys just watched shows a lit up map of the United States, with Texas being completely dark, and the caption, POV, your time machine breaks, and you're stranded in 2021 Texas right before the deadliest winter storm. The winter storm that this video is referring to is of course that of Winter Storm Uri that took place between the days of February 11th of 2021 through February 20th. The entirety of Texas during this time was under the winter storm warning, and this storm caused huge issues when it came to the power grid, causing rolling blackouts that lasted several days in many areas, and this resulted in at least 200 plus deaths, with higher estimates ranging to 700, from things like hypothermia to carbon monoxide poisoning, for reasons like bringing in your propane grill to heat up your house.
Finally, I dreamed about meeting Ariana Grande, and finally my dream became true.
This is definitely not the usual topic that I'd be covering, but I've been seeing videos of this everywhere, been getting tagged in them, so let's briefly cover it. This video shows a man by the name of Johnson Wen recording himself talking to the camera, stating that he's dreamt about meeting Ariana Grande, that he's going to meet her today, and this sets up foreshadowing for what he's about to do. And what he did is get himself in trouble in Singapore at a premiere for Wicked, where he jumped onto the carpet that Ariana Grande and her co-stars were walking, and put his arm forcefully around her before quickly being escorted out by security and arrested for 9 days. From what I can tell, this is not the first time that Johnson has done something like this, and it appears as though this is something that he does more so to troll, as opposed to being an actual crazed fan. Or maybe he's just a combination of both. Either way, he's going to end up having to pay around a $1,500 fine if found guilty, which I likely believe he will be found guilty. Yet again, being asked if I would spend an entire year in an abandoned Russian village. I'm still going to say no, but this one's not as bad as the first one. Another very straightforward video, ghost towns in Russia. We then zoom into Alaikal, which is on this map, with some corresponding images, with the population, of course, at a big old goose egg, 0. So to give you guys some perspective as to what we're looking at here, this is Alaikal. We can see that it's inside of the Arctic Circle, so of course, blisteringly cold. This town's roots are military in nature, specifically pilots, their families, and other personnel would stay here for the air base because this was a surefire way to get over to America through the Arctic. Nowadays, we can see that it's still very barren. However, there is still a functioning airport over here, so a lot of people were referring to this as the most active abandoned town out there, which is why it's a little bit better than the last one we talked about.
What the fuck is that? It sounds like the fucking ocean underneath.
It certainly does sound like the ocean. I can agree with you there. However, I am very doubtful that it is. This video shows a woman walking home. She wasn't really paying attention, so she nearly stepped in this hole filled with water. The water sounds like it's flowing, similar to the ocean, and this video was filmed in New Orleans. So a lot of people were concerned here, stating that New Orleans is about to sink and be underwater. Now, what we need to understand here is that yes, portions of New Orleans are actually below sea level, so this does make it susceptible to flooding, and given the rising ocean levels, there's no doubt that New Orleans and other coastside towns might be in danger in the future. Right now, though, it's a little bit too early, so more than likely, this is a broken water line. This is relatively common, because as of now, the New Orleans has a $14.5 billion flood prevention system, so I really don't think this would happen. There's obviously a very big difference here, and a lot of you guys are probably wondering what happened, because this is the exact same person. This slideshow has 2 images featuring the same woman by the name of Lynn May. The first one shows her young, stunning, and the second image shows her at an older age, and you'll notice that the age progression here is not very normal. This does not look like her at all. For context, Lynn May, or her real name, Lilia Mayares, was a Mexican vedette, exotic dancer, and actor that was very popular back in the 70s and 80s. Lynn's face changed substantially throughout her career, and at one point she ended up taking the advice of a friend that told her that she should inject cooking oil and baby oil into her face. At first, things were going just fine, but eventually this very wild procedure caught up with her, caused abscesses in her face, and required her to get numerous plastic surgeries to fix it.
This literally does not seem possible.
Always hated getting tagged in videos like this because there's no 100% definitive answer that I could find, so let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. That being said, this video shows a person holding a helix-like structure. The caption says, "One step towards anti-gravity." They then let go of this spiral in this stream of water and it starts traveling upwards. This is not the first time that I've seen a clip like this, and after frequenting some physics forums, people are split. Some people say that this is possible because it might operate on a principle similar to the Archimedes screw, where you can change elevation of different objects just by turning a screw. But other people seem to think that this is just some sort of sleight of hand, more than likely using a clear thin filament. Obviously, if this is real, using something that has a density lower than water and is very light probably would work better. And honestly, at this point, I might try this myself.
I told you it would work.
No way!
Watch this.
He's actually doing it!
I'm running out.
I know this clip might actually look real, but the content of it is laughably fake. This is not really possible. This is an AI video that I got tagged in on TikTok. It got a bunch of traction. It shows a guy with a bunch of empty water bottles taped to his feet like shoes. He then steps into the water and he floats like he's on land and ends up running off into the distance. Now, it's always been one of humanity's dreams to be able to walk on water, but you're not going to be able to do so with smaller buoyant objects. You're never going to literally be able to walk on water like you would land. Basically, as of now, if you want to be able to walk on water, you have to buy or create something like this. And you'll notice these aren't even really shoes. The surface area is so large that it's almost like you've just taken a paddleboard and cut it in half. And that's realistic, because even if you had the same buoyancy right here, it would be almost impossible to balance on this, let alone run across the water, because there's nothing to push off of, no equal and opposite.
Holy shit.
I am not a Weather Channel, guys, but seeing as I got a bunch of tags in this, why not talk about it? This video recently went viral on TikTok, and that's for one big reason. It shows some shocking weather for a place that should not be having this type of weather. The footage here was recorded in Glendale, Arizona, and as you can see, this entire street is flooded, and there appear to be chunks of ice floating down the street as well. Now, the reason why this is so weird is Glendale, Arizona typically has warmer winters with their highs in the mid-60s and the lows the mid-40s to the upper 40s. Snow rarely, if ever, happens, and a lot of people were under the impression that this was primarily snow in this recent event. But according to my research, it would appear that most of the moisture that fell here was in the form of hail, which would make a little bit more sense because it's possible for clouds to be at freezing temperature and the surface earth temperature to be a little bit higher.
Is he following? I bite at the hand that feeds me.
If you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you almost certainly recognize this psychopathic maniac. This is a simple 2-image slideshow. The first image is a collage, screenshots of this game called Mr. Meat. The second image is a collage that apparently shows the backstory to Mr. Meat, featuring this guy's images by the name of Joe Metheny. For some backstory, Mr. Meat is a video game that involves you escaping from a psychopathic butcher. And whether or not the game makers intended for this to be the case, Joe Metheny's case does bear some similarities. Metheny lived in Baltimore, was active in his crimes between the years of 1976 to 1996, and spent a lot of his time living with homeless people in makeshift camps. What he's most well known for, though, is allegedly taking the lives of 13 different victims, and at the same time selling burgers at a roadside stand with meat from his victims that he himself would eat, and he would give to unsuspecting customers. I know there's a really creepy audio overlaid on top of this, but in my opinion, this is more cool than it is scary. This slideshow has 2 images featuring a statue of Anubis with the caption, "What the Anubis statue looks like today," versus how it was found after over 3,000 years. So this statue, or rather shrine to Anubis, was found in King Tut's tomb back in 1922. It was found at the entrance of the treasury of the tomb, and it's made out of wood, plaster, lacquer, and gold leaf. Also, when it was found, it was covered in this linen. Now, while this is cool and all, by far the craziest thing, at least in my opinion, is just how old this is. 3,300 years old is mind-blowing. This was created in 1300 BC, more or less. So literally 1,300 years older than the coming of Jesus Christ. And for it to be found in this condition is genuinely insane.
Was that something out of my nose?
Totally reasonable reaction to having some random foreign object fly out of your mouth when yelling the word power. This video that I got tagged in shows an influencer by the name of Jeremy Fragrance sniffing a cologne or perfume, yelling power very emphatically, and at the same time, this small white object flies out of his mouth. You might be tempted to think that what came out of his mouth was a loose tooth, or maybe he has dentures and one of the fake teeth fell out, but realistically, I think more than likely what flew out of his mouth is a tonsil stone. For those that don't know, tonsil stones can be found in the back folds of your tonsil. It's kind of in the back of your throat, and they have a very distinct off-white yellowish hue. Now, these are generally not very threatening towards your health, but they can cause bad breath, and in the case where it causes difficulty swallowing or it's uncomfortable, you should probably go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor to remove them. You can also remove these at home by following a tutorial, however, that's not necessarily recommended.
We come out of graduation and there's a tornado.
If your time machine did indeed break during this event, I wouldn't blame you for having a heart attack, because this would be terrifying. This video has a very simple caption: POV, your time machine breaks during the Joplin High School graduation on May 22nd of 2011, and you have to leave and hear sirens going off. We then see a bunch of people evacuating here, hopping into their cars, and rushing out of the parking lot. This video is obviously referencing the Joplin, Missouri 2011 tornado, which was a massive EF5 tornado. This is the tornado right here. The bottom of it was a mile wide. That completely decimated the town of Joplin, leaving a trail 22 miles long, decimated the high school, and resulted in the deaths of 158 to 162 people, including 8 individuals that were directly tied in with the school. The tornado also cost approximately $2.8 billion worth of damages, which is pretty insane, especially considering this was in 2011. As sad as it is, this caption right here sums up more or less everything that we know about this case for this missing teen. This video that I got tagged in shows a few different images of an innocent-looking teenager with the caption, POV, an autistic 15-year-old steps outside with a flashlight and leaves no footprints in the mud. This video is referring to this missing teenager by the name of Sebastian Rogers, who went missing on February 25th of 2024. On the night of the 25th, Sebastian went to bed. His mother recalled hearing a loud noise around 10, called up to him, he was fine, she went to bed, and then when they got up the next morning, Sebastian was nowhere to be found. Very large-scale search took place, about 4.5-mile radius for the entire area searched. Sebastian was known to like swimming in water, so they did search a bunch of bodies of water but did not find him. And as of now, there aren't any publicly available theories as to what might have happened to him.
Half of these people are completely lying.
I'm not trying to accuse everyone in this line of lying, but apparently this has become a large problem for some different airlines. The video that you guys just watched here shows a bunch of people sitting in line for Air India, and the one glaringly obvious thing about this video is that every single person in line here is using a wheelchair, and it's alleged that a lot of them do not actually have disabilities. Apparently, this is something that's been being seen more and more lately, and no, this is not just happening in India, where people are faking disabilities in order to get priority boarding, to get through the airport process faster. This photo, for example, was taken outside of a Frontier gate. And obviously, this has become a problem because the people that do need priority boarding are getting pushed out by those who really don't. They're just in a rush. That being said, I don't know why people would be in such a rush to sit on the plane and wait anyways. This line of thinking doesn't make sense to me at all.
This should not exist on Earth.
I've covered this topic so many times, guys. I apologize if this is your 4th or 5th time seeing me talk about it, but this is the best example of this that I've ever seen. This is a pretty simple video that I got tagged in, shows a person emptying an out-of-grounds pool. They have a hole right here that all of the water is being drained through, but you'll notice something pretty interesting. The water looks like it's not moving at all. It looks like it's just frozen in time. Many of you guys are probably very familiar with what this is called. This is referred to as a laminar flow. This is the exact opposite of a turbulent flow, where you have a bunch of currents that are moving in a random way that make the water obvious that it's moving. Instead, laminar flow, all of the water conforms to the exact same pattern and does not differ from that. This results in the water stream looking like it's standing completely still because it is unchanging in its flow and current. And it's for sure, in my opinion, one of the coolest optical illusions that you can do at home with just a balloon and a piece of tape. Not too sure as to the outcome of this incident because there's no article on it, but I can imagine this was not good. The video that you guys just watched doesn't have a lot of context. It shows this guy on a smaller ship about to board a larger one. He hops onto this ladder. He then ends up getting his leg pinned between the smaller ship and the larger one. Now, what you guys just witnessed is known as a maritime pilot transfer. They use these small pilot ships to drop off the maritime pilot onto the larger ship, with the pilot's purpose being guiding this large ship through hazardous waters. It might be a lot of traffic, there might be some weird currents going on, but that's their entire role. Transfers can take place through the use of a helicopter, which personally, if I were a maritime pilot, that's what I would want. Because while in calm seas, it's easy to make the transfer, when there are swells taking place like this, you can get pinned no matter how safe you are and end up, injuring your leg like this guy.
Would you drink this for $1 million?
No, I am not drinking this for $1 million. You are literally asking me if I would die for that money. This is a very basic slideshow that first shows an older wooden box with this strange wax vial full of liquid, and upon closer inspection, we can barely make out the words here, hydrofluoric acid. Now, first off, hydrofluoric acid has industrial applications used for things like etching glass, stone, and cleaning metal. But it's an extremely dangerous acid. If you spill it on your skin, it penetrates deep into your tissue, and it might not be immediately painful, but it causes severe burns. So if you were to ingest it, the tissues in your mouth and digestive system would be severely damaged, but on top of that, it also throws off your electrolyte balance and can cause cardiac arrest if you were to survive the horrible damage that you would get. It is really not an acid. I can't show the actual clip of this happening, but somehow this kid ended up walking away uninjured, and I'm quite shocked. The video that you guys just watched was sent to me through Instagram DM. In it, this group of cars can be seen driving through a drive-through safari. The kids in front of the person recording are hanging outside of the car, which is something that you should never do when you're around wildlife. This bison walks up and headbutts the kid. Now, obviously, these kids are very lucky. Bison are exceptionally strong. They can have viciously sharp horns, so this could have ended with that kid no longer having a jaw. But this is a bigger systemic problem overall. I've seen countless videos now of people getting out of their vehicles at drive-through safaris, not taking things seriously, and getting mauled by things like tigers. Or, wildly enough, getting picked up through the sunroof of their vehicle by giraffes. So the main thing to remember, if you're ever going through a drive-through safari, keep everything shut, keep all of your body parts inside of the vehicle. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you fall off a cruise ship, you're probably not going to survive. You're more than likely dying. This is a creepy TikTok video that I got tagged in with the caption, POV, you fall off of your cruise ship, and you realize you're closer to astronauts in space than anyone on Earth. Kind of butchering that, but I do understand what they're saying. Just throwing you guys some statistics here, from 2009 to 2019, there were 212 incidents involving people falling off of cruise ships and them trying to recover them. From those 212 incidents, only 48 people were recovered, so obviously not a very high rate of recovery and survival. And that's because looking for you in the ocean is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Not to mention, it takes a significant amount of time usually to alert the crew that somebody's fallen overboard, so it takes them a while to turn around, and by then, a lot of people have already drowned and they're underneath the surface. I don't think there's many people out there that would believe that these two are the same people, and that's exactly why this guy got caught. This slideshow features two images, the first of a woman, a mother by the name of Graziella from Italy, and the second image, somebody that looks somewhat similar. That's because it's her son dressed up in the exact same way as her. To give you guys some context, this 56-year-old Italian man was arrested after allegedly committing pension fraud with his mother, who reportedly passed away back in 2022. And instead of reporting this death to the authorities, he wrapped her up in a sleeping bag, drained her body of all of its fluids so it wouldn't create any decomposing smell, and then remained unemployed, collecting her checks for 3 years until her state-issued ID expired. After this, he was forced to go in person and get a new photo ID, and he was immediately caught. These are my favorite videos ever to get tagged in. I love talking about the ocean, so let's get into it. This TikTok video shows a size comparison between an average human and progressively larger and larger sea creatures, starting off with a big fin squid at 6 meters, going up to a phantom jellyfish, then skipping a few, and finally concluding with the lion's mane jellyfish that they claim is 60 meters long, which is not true. That being said, our oceans are filled with large and very strange creatures. The largest lion's mane jellyfish out there was 120 feet long, which is ridiculously large. But that's not even the longest creature out there. The longest one is believed to be the giant siphonophore, which reached a length of 130 feet, although it is kind of just like a straight line. But even though these are the longest creatures out there, the largest one is still the blue whale at around 100 feet in length and weighing 400,000 pounds, which is why it's the largest. This is another one of those stories that just goes to show you, you never know when your time to leave this earth is. Nobody could have predicted this. This is a no context TikTok video that I got tagged in. It shows a storefront by the name of Waldo's, and progressively through the video, images pop up and flash for a split second before vanishing. For those not privy to what happened here, back in early November of 2025, a Waldo's Mart, which is a discount store in Mexico, ended up seeing an explosion/fire break out that resulted in the staggering loss of 23 individuals and the further injuring of another 11 individuals that were inside of the store. For a lot of the people that passed away, even though they didn't get burned, it's thought they passed due to the inhalation of toxic gases. And according to my research, I wasn't able to find the exact reason why this happened, though it was thought that this might have been a transformer. People doing this on purpose, though, was ruled out. Hindsight is always 20/20, but this was genuinely a horrible decision. I don't know how they could have seen this going any other way. The video that you guys just watched was recorded earlier this year in March of 2025. It was recorded in Vietnam. It shows this worker sitting on top of a forklift. They're probably about 100 feet above the ground. He then attempts to drive through this opening and the platform rolls away. I cut the video off here, but he ends up falling backwards and the forklift falls directly on top of him. Presumably, this group that was building this skyscraper when this incident happened was trying to get that forklift up there to make their job easier and move around building materials. But when they attempted to bring this forklift up, they did not properly secure this lip of the platform to the building. So this guy fell victim to Isaac Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the tire spinning here moved the platform back, and again, he got crushed, instantly lost his life.
Sorry, this is quite literally not possible.
Ho, ho, ho! I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this quite simply is not possible. This is another TikTok video I got tagged in, and you can see this metal contraption here. This part of the machine is moving faster and faster, and they claim that they've created a perpetual motion machine. For those who don't know what a perpetual motion machine is, it's a machine that runs without any energy and runs infinitely. A common example is this one right here, where you drop a ball and it perpetually moves and keeps moving, but this is rather fallacious. As you know in physics, energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and here's an example of energy and the output. Whereas perpetual motion machines claim to make energy out of nothing. Because this is physically impossible, this contraption is likely rolling down a slope. As the saying goes, the hardest part of building a perpetual motion machine is hiding the battery.
Fuck! You guys won't believe what we just fucking hit.
All right, I see you guys. I've been tagged in this video probably 2,000 times, so I'm going to talk about it. The video that you guys just watched shows this hole that's been freshly dug, and right here it might be kind of hard to see. You see rainbow-colored wires protruding from this wall, and the audio is freaking out. Don't worry though, that's just dubbed on. That being said, it would be completely fine to have this type of reaction if you do discover wires like this, because these guys are in deep trouble. These type of wires, typically referred to as rainbow root, are usually fiber optic cables and have a lot to do with data transfer and telecommunications. Not standard wires, they're very difficult, almost impossible to splice, so if you accidentally end up breaking them as a construction company, you could be liable for tens of thousands of dollars worth of damages, and in rare cases, if you really mess up, $1 million plus. No, I'm not going to be showing the ending of this video, but exactly what you think happens to this goat happens to the goat. This is not exactly what I wanted to see to start my day out this morning on Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. But anyways, this video shows an elephant walking down the road. There's this goat that runs out in front of it. The elephant does not stop at all and basically flattens the goat like a bug. As we all know, elephants are the largest land animal, weighing between 8,000 to 14,000 pounds, depending on the species. This means that there's no chance of survival if it happens to step on you. That being said, elephants, when they're not provoked, are typically not going to go out of their way to step on an animal. Sometimes they just don't see the animal and will crush them by accident. There have even been people that have tripped in enclosures, fallen down, and been trampled by elephants as well. It's not something that's done maliciously, it's just a consequence of their large size.
If you can't do this, you're a princess.
Ho ho ho!
Touching 400 burns your skin? You got soft hands, princess. Well, guess what, dude? It does hurt my skin, and I do have soft hands. So thank you. No, in all seriousness, this was a very interesting video that I got tagged in. It shows this guy placing his hand under these falling, melted strands of plastic. And without any context, a lot of people were confused, myself included, as to what was going on here. Now, according to what I saw on this guy's page, it would appear as though this guy is a wig creator, so he's obviously dealing with some sort of synthetic material to create these wigs. More than likely, that material is polyester, which you can readily buy in these small beads. The beads are then melted down, they're sent through this spinneret where there's cold air that's pushing against it, which helps to cool it off and make it solidify. And if I had to venture a guess, that's probably what this guy is touching. That being said, I don't believe that this is 400 degrees, and if it is rapidly cooling because there are such thin strands of plastic. Now, I personally don't really believe in this urban legend. That being said, if I saw this on the road unprompted, I'm going to be booking it in the opposite direction, absolutely. This is another Impacto music video that I got tagged in. It shows these people on a dark road at nighttime. In the distance, we can see the outline of a human, and it becomes very apparent that this human is not really acting or moving in a normal fashion. According to the caption on the video, this person claims that they captured the Serbian dancing lady, and a lot of you guys might remember this from back in 2024. The Serbian dancing lady is said to be a woman that dances out on the street at night. She does this very weird motion. Don't get used to this, but she does a little dance like this, and if you see her or disturb her, she comes after you with a knife. A lot of people claim that the Serbian dancing lady is a ghost, not actually a person at all. There's a lot of different renditions of this, but regardless, if you see this on the street, probably don't approach it because it's just creepy in general.
Imagine coming home to find this highly venomous cobra at your door.
I really hope this goes without saying, but please do not walk through a door if this is in the doorway. This is quite the surprising video that I got tagged in. It shows this person about to walk into their house, and in this doorway is a cobra. Fortunately, the person recording doesn't get too close, but it's clear from the cobra's body language that it's not comfortable here, and it's more than happy to take a nip at somebody. Now, according to my research, more than likely the type of cobra seen in the doorway was the Indian spectacled cobra, and this is not necessarily the best news, because these cobras are highly venomous, and they have neurotoxic/cardiotoxic venom, meaning they can cause your neurons to shut down and your heart to stop. Generally speaking though, these spectacled cobras are quite shy. They don't go out of their way to bite or attack anybody. It's just if you run into them in the wrong situation, then you might get bit. If you were to hypothetically walk through the store and get a bite, you would need to go to the hospital immediately. Indeed, this is very, very cool. However, I think a lot of people are making up their own stories in their head when it comes to these two castles, so I'll give you guys the basic rundown. The video that you guys just watched was recorded in Northumberland, England, and it shows two old castles that are in close proximity to one another. This one a little bit larger with square structure, and this one appearing to be on an island not too far off the coast. The square structure that you guys see is Bamberg Castle. This was a settlement and more so a fortress with military ties. Whereas the second castle is Lindisfarne. It's a little bit smaller, and this originally was a monastery for monks before becoming a settlement that overlooked this harbor. I know a lot of people thought these castles might have warred with one another, or people might have been in love with each other from different kingdoms, but from what I can tell, that doesn't really seem to be the case, and they're approximately a half-hour drive by car from one another. Pretty much back to back now, we have two videos talking about cobras. This guy though, not so lucky, he did not survive. The video that you guys just watched shows a man who has successfully captured a cobra. There's only one problem: he used his bare hands. Reason why this is a problem is because later in the video, he ends up getting bit by the cobra, trying to suck the venom out, but this did not work. To give you guys some context, this incident very recently happened in India involving this 17-year veteran police constable by the name of Santosh Chaudhary. Santosh had successfully captured a cobra, which is obviously a very highly venomous snake, and while he was getting ready to take a photo and pose with it, he was bit. Despite the fact that he put on a brave face after being bit, he immediately went to the hospital, and by this point it was too late. He ended up passing away, and I can't show it, but they were performing CPR on him. He was just too far gone.
This is your only way to get fresh air here.
Ho ho ho!
If you're claustrophobic, or afraid of heights for that matter, working in Hoover Dam is probably not the job for you. This is another TikTok that I got tagged in. It shows a person walking down a pretty dimly lit corridor with this vent at the end of it, and the caption says, POV, you're working in Hoover Dam and this is your only source of fresh air. And they're really not exaggerating here. For those unfamiliar with the Hoover Dam, this is what it looks like. It is absolutely massive. You can drive on top of it, and it blocks up the Colorado River on the border between Arizona and Nevada. The inside of the dam has a bunch of machinery and inner workings, just like many other dams. And in order for fresh air to get inside, ventilation shafts were built that are large enough for people to walk through. And if you look close enough while you're on top of the dam, you might be able to see them right here. This is exactly what it looks like. Personally, I've been to the Hoover Dam several times. I would try this out, but it would still probably freak me out and make me feel vertigo. While this is something I personally would not want to be close to, I think a lot of people are overreacting with how dangerous this might be. This is a video that was sent to me through Instagram DM. It has no context. It shows a hydraulic piston attached to a block of wood. And over the course of the video, the wood is progressively getting closer and closer to its breaking point. So a lot of people were saying that this is essentially like standing next to a ticking time bomb. Under normal circumstances, I would agree. However, this is merely an art installation created by this Italian artist by the name of Arcangelo Sassolino. Upon doing research into his art style, it appears as though he likes to take modern machinery and incorporate it into his pieces. A lot of the pieces that I saw involved these hydraulic pistons breaking wood. For those wondering, this is the end result of that piece, and as you can see, it's not an explosion, it's actually quite tame.
He barely got out with his life.
Ho ho ho!
No more, guys. This has to stop. This is the first time that I was actually fooled by a video, the first time I watched it. This video was sent to me through Instagram DM, and at first glance, it looks pretty legit. These two guys are strapped into a swing ride, they have this safety bar down across their chest, but a few seconds after launch, this guy's safety bar lifts up, he's freaking out, and it appears as though he just barely scrapes by with his life here. I did research thinking that this was a legitimate video, but I couldn't find any article, and that's when it struck. This is more than likely an AI video, and if you really pay close attention and pause the video at the right time, we can barely see the Sora AI watermark. That's not to say that these incidents don't happen. There are people who have their safety bars lift up or their seatbelts come undone and they just barely survive. But this is the new popular wave of AI videos. People are now doing roller coaster fails. So just keep an eye out for that.
Never climb this. Oh, no, it's on. It's on.
Yeah, this right here is exactly why you don't go climbing random AM towers, even if you think they've been abandoned, because it could kill you. This video shows a guy that I believe to be an urban explorer walking up to an AM tower, and it appears as though he has the intention of climbing it. He then touches the tower with a stick that has a hot dog on the end of it, and we hear an electrical current that kind of sounds like a voice. If you guys have heard of AM radio, these towers are exactly how you guys get that signal, and the entire tower here is actually the antenna, meaning that it has electricity coursing through it. But even if the electricity itself doesn't get you, these towers also can cause RF burns, which stands for radio frequency burns, which often causes intense, deep, and penetrative tissue damage. And even if you test a tower that you think has been abandoned and the hot dog doesn't do anything, it might just be off for maintenance and they might turn it on while you're climbing it, so just don't mess around with it. One of the most terrifying things about mountain climbing is if you get in trouble, there is no guarantee, even if rescuers know where you are, that you are going to get rescued. And that's exactly what happened here. The video that you guys just watched was recorded with a drone. It shows a tent on the side of this mountain. And this location is where a mountain climber spent her final days awaiting help that never arrived. The mountain climber in question was a 47-year-old woman by the name of Natalia, who, while climbing Victory Peak in Kyrgyzstan, suffered an accident that caused a broken leg, requiring her partner to go down for help. Even though they knew exactly where Natalia was, rescue proved to be extremely difficult. First off, a group of climbers came up and provided her with clothing, food, and water, but one person died while on the way back down. They sent up a helicopter that crashed, and the second helicopter didn't have visibility, so that didn't work. And after a third and final attempt, they gave up, and Natalia passed away. This was no accident. This was a stunt that was set up, done on purpose, but it did result in a big accident, this guy losing his life. The video that you guys just watched is clearly quite old. It shows a man hunched down, focused on a jet ski, traveling towards a waterfall, and once he gets to the edge, he doesn't slow down, he just barrels right over. This was all part of a stunt done to bring awareness to homelessness by a 39-year-old daredevil from California, Robert Overacker. Robert decided that for his cause, he was going to go to Niagara Falls, which is very famous for being large and dangerous, and ride a jet ski off the end of the falls wearing a parachute that was rocket-propelled, which would launch him up and he would float safely down. This is not at all what happened, though. As soon as he went over, the parachute failed to deploy, meaning he fell 51 meters down into the water below, where he lost his life and was pronounced dead later at a hospital.
Страшно.
If this doesn't send chills down your spine, you might not have an amygdala because this is a rabid fox. This terrifying video was recently recorded in Russia. It shows a woman at nighttime. This fox starts approaching her, which already, very big red flag. The video then cuts to a later point with this fox attempting to attack her and being so motivated that it climbs up this platform that she's standing on and even tries to get up the railing. This is certainly not standard behavior for a fox. Usually they're very skittish and afraid of humans. This looks like furious rabies to me. I've talked about rabies a million times, so you guys probably already know this, but rabies is one of the oldest viruses out there known to humans, and once you get bit and it passes the blood-brain barrier and starts causing these neurological symptoms, you're screwed. If you see any type of wildlife acting unafraid of you, and it should be, you should get away immediately, and if you get bit, go get a rabies vaccine ASAP.
Sandra, bonita, Sandra.
Really, guys, there is no need to be this dramatic. It's actually kind of laughable. This is an extremely viral TikTok video that I got tagged in, and it really doesn't make a lot of sense to me because all it shows is a zoo animal in transport, and from the hands grabbing onto this crossbar section, we can clearly tell that this animal inside of the cage is more than likely an ape. Nonetheless, the entire comment section was filled with comments like this, showing the Sandra in question with terrifying photos. In reality, all you had to do is go to this guy's page to see this is not as sinister as it looks. Clearly, we've got an orangutan in there, and this is even present in the beginning here if you take a close look, one orangutan. Here, we can even see exactly what Sandra looks like. She looks insanely chill. She doesn't look mean at all or like any of the comments that people were disparaging her with. Gotta understand, guys, these enclosures and cages are usually not going to look very pleasant. This is not nearly as dangerous as it looks. In fact, a lot of people probably don't think this is dangerous, but I'll still talk about the risks nonetheless. This video that I got tagged in was recorded at a dermatologist's clinic. It shows this person holding liquid nitrogen. They then pour it out onto the floor and it undergoes a rapid composition change from liquid to gas. Liquid nitrogen is used in a variety of different ways, namely at the dermatologist, you're going to use this to remove things like warts or unwanted skin growths. I've had it done myself. But there's other applications like making cold food. All this to say, liquid nitrogen is extremely cold, so it has the ability to really damage your skin tissues if you accidentally pour it on yourself. That being said, you do have a very small period of safety known as the Leidenfrost effect that prevents the nitrogen from touching your hand right away. So if you pour out liquid nitrogen, just don't pour it on yourself and do it in a ventilated area, otherwise you might suffocate. My body really does not do well in heat. I'm built for the cold through and through, and it's for that reason I will never live in this state. Arizona. This is a very self-explanatory slideshow that I got tagged in featuring several different images of plastics in the process of melting, deforming, and all of this is caused by the extreme heat found in Arizona. According to my research, back in 2018 is when the majority of these photos featuring melted trash cans and other plastics were taken, and that's because the air temperature was around 116, and on blacktop/asphalt, the temperatures ranged from 140 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit. This is basically hot enough to turn your car into a literal oven, which is why it's a necessity to have this type of reflective material on the windshield, and certainly hot enough to wreak havoc on anything with a melting point close to that temperature range. If there were one place you'd want to be during a rock slide, this would be that place. The video that you guys just watched shows a person driving along a mountainside highway when out of nowhere an alarm starts blaring. They then drive under what appears to be a tunnel and a rock slide comes through. However, this is not just a lucky placed tunnel, this is designed for this type of situation. It's something known as a rock shed. To give you guys a better visual as to what a large rock shed might look like, here is a perfect example. We can see how the road appears to go into the mountainside, not so much like a tunnel though, because this side is bare. These are built on roads where landslides and rock slides are common and cause road closures, and it's a way to divert that flow of debris down the mountain without impacting the road. In this case, it served as a perfect area to take cover during this landslide, and it really did get extreme by the end of the video. This is what the dashcam looked like, almost pitch black.
You're lucky I didn't include the sound.
Ho ho ho!
First off, I want to say I'm sorry for making you watch that, but you should be thanking me for not including the sound. It makes it that much more gut-wrenching. Tell you what, Instagram has really been on a hot streak lately with serving up the most ridiculous videos. This one shows a guy using a toenail clipper on his teeth, just chipping away for likes. One squeeze, 10,000 views. Not really worth it if you ask me. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the anatomy of a tooth, the outer layer that's white is known as the enamel. There are no nerves here, so this presumably is not going to be painful if you chip it. On average here, the thickness of the enamel on the tip of your incisors, which are your front teeth, is around 1.24 millimeters. So this guy has a tiny bit of leeway. He can afford a few chips in here without it hurting too much, but still, why do this in the first place, man? You can only do this once, safely, and now you're gonna have to go to the dentist.
Never do this prank in Argentina.
Ho ho ho!
I searched for, found, and watched the original video for this, and exactly what you think he's reaching for is what he pulls out. This video, uploaded to TikTok, appears to show one of those old-timey prank videos with a person hiding inside of this mailbox. Lighthearted nature of the video, though, disappears after this guy shows up, his mail is spit back out, he then takes a look inside, reaches inside of his jacket, and pulls out a pew-pew. Now, the original video here is uploaded on YouTube. It's called Hidden Camera Surprise 2, and I've since found out that these videos are skits. In fact, they are marketing skits done by a company in Buenos Aires, Argentina, by the name of Ogilvy and Mathers. And I think that just goes to show you how good this marketing is, because even now, 20 years later after this was filmed, these videos are still going viral. Also, it's really good news because this guy did air out the mailbox in the original video, which was pretty insane to watch. This lioness making a beeline towards this guy is a clear indication that this was a big mistake. He's not going to make it out. This is a video of an incident that just very recently happened on December 1st in Brazil, showing a man shimmying himself down a tree. You then can see that this is in fact a lion exhibit because this lioness makes a beeline directly towards him. For backstory, the man that chose to put himself into this position was a 19-year-old with schizophrenia and dreams of becoming a big cat trainer by the name of Gerson. Gerson scaled the 18-foot wall on the outside of the enclosure before latching onto this tree and lowering himself inside. There he appeared to second-guess himself, but continued to lower himself. The lioness then grabbed him, pulled him down. Gerson attempted to run for a little bit, but was quickly subdued by the lion, and no, he did not survive. And for those wondering about the safety of the lioness, no, she's not being put down, she's being closely monitored right now. I've never done this job, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but this looks to be quite satisfying. I wouldn't mind doing it. The video that you guys just watched features CIPP lining equipment. I'll explain what that is here in a second, but we then see this blue object being inflated going into the pipe, and the claim on this video is that this is how plumbers clean pipes. So for those that don't know, CIPP lining stands for Cured In Place Pipe Lining. And no, this is actually not a tactic for cleaning pipes. Instead, this is a tactic for creating a new pipe wall when you have old pipes that might be broken. It involves using a felt liner with resin, inserting it into the pipe and inflating it, which is what we saw in that original video, then curing the pipe using heat or UV light, which hardens it, and that becomes the new pipe. This is also referred to as a trenchless method for replacing pipes because you don't have to dig trenches to fix them. You can just do this above ground.
Okay,
Believe it or not, this is not some sort of magic trick. There's no misleading camera angle here. This is 100% legit. The video that you guys just watched shows a person recording their wall. We can see two brushes that are stuck to the wall. They then have this lighter, rub it up very aggressively, remove their hand, and it sticks to the wall. There's no glue here, no strings, nothing weird going on. Now you can do this trick with virtually any object as long as you create enough friction and heat, and as long as you have the right paint. You take whatever object you want to stick to the wall, firmly hold it and press it into the wall while you glide it up, and this creates friction, which creates heat, and this will slightly melt the paint, causing it to be tacky and form a bond with whatever object you have. I've even seen people do this on these cinder block walls. Now I would try this myself, but I really do not want to end up with marks on my walls, and I'm pretty sure my fiance would not appreciate that. There are quite a few very rare and strange diseases out there, and a lot of them cut people's lives short, this one being no exception. This is an Instagram video that was sent to me through DM. It has the caption, POV, you're born with a condition that causes you to age rapidly. We then get footage of numerous individuals with this disease, known as progeria. Breaking it down, progeria is caused by a mutation in the LMNA gene. This results in an excess amount of a protein known as progerin being created, and this breaks down your cell's nucleus. This results in children aging faster, or at least visibly looking as though they're aging faster. And the prognosis here, I'm not going to lie, isn't great. Most of these people with progeria survive to around 14 or 15 years old. And oftentimes they're passing away from either a stroke or severe and progressive heart issues. The oldest person with progeria who still is alive is Tiffany Wedekind at 46. In my opinion, this was a very disproportionate reaction, but you guys can make your own choice after I give you guys the context. This video that I got tagged in shows a young woman walking out of the kitchen carrying a pot of boiling water, and from her body language, it would appear as though she's quite upset. She then walks up to this guy wearing blue and white and throws the boiling water on him. According to my research, this incident took place in Russia in late 2023 or early 2024 when this group of friends got together for a house party. The guy wearing blue and white decided to play a prank. He threw a smoke bomb into the kitchen of this girl's apartment. This then enraged her so much that she went and took this boiling pot of water and dumped it on him. Again, in my opinion, a little bit disproportionate. Water easily burns human skin. At 155, you can see that it's instant first-degree burns. This is a very large margin below boiling point. This guy probably has third-degree burns and permanent scarring. These photos and this story sound like something straight out of a horror film, but insanely enough, it's real. Here we can see a few different images of this creepy ride in a mall with this bizarre caption, rare aesthetic working at Jeepers in Wonderland Mall in 2003, doing maintenance on a coaster, and your coworker turns on the ride, decapitating you. This story did indeed happen, involving the Python Pit coaster at Jeepers, which was a family entertainment center at the Wonderland Mall in Michigan. Maintenance manager was working on the coaster. His co-worker, who was also the operator, did not see him there. His vision was obscured, so when he turned on the coaster, it went around, striking him fatally in the head. From what I can tell, this resulted in the rides being shut down here for being unsafe, and the company/manager were found to be at fault for not following proper lockdown safety protocols when it came to doing maintenance. This, of course, is not actual footage from an incident happening, but this did actually happen in real life, and it's as terrifying as it looks. This is another Impacto music video that I got tagged in. It shows a ship in the process of sinking. Right here we can see two lifeboats, and the clip ends with a terrifying scene, the lifeboat being pulled in towards the propellers of the ship. This video aims to show a recreation of the Titanic's sister ship by the name of the HMHS Britannic, which sank back in 1916 after striking a mine off the coast of Greece. During the sinking of the ship, the captain ordered for the engines to be turned off, therefore the propellers wouldn't be moving anymore, but some people were very eager to get off the boat, so they launched the life rafts early and they ended up getting pulled into the propeller, resulting in the deaths of 30 individuals. Might not look like it, but this still frame right here is the last moment that this guy was conscious and he would never wake up. The video that you guys just watched was taken from a live stream that took place back in 2014. In it, we can see a cricket bowler throw a ball. There's a little bit of a lag, but the batter then gets struck by this ball and he stands here. It's pretty clear something went wrong. The man seen in this video was a famous cricketer by the name of Philip Hughes. He played for South Australia, and on November 25th of 2014, he was hit by a ball going 80 miles per hour in the neck. At this point, cricket helmets were not designed to protect this area. This caused a vertebral artery dissection, which resulted in a massive hemorrhage in his brain. He ended up passing out. He went to the hospital, where he would pass away 2 days later. The helmets have since been changed to protect this area. The yellow line is the old helmet, this is the new. This is possibly one of the most famous missing person cases from Romania, and I'm going to be honest, this is my first time hearing about it. This is another creepy video that I got tagged in on TikTok. It shows a woman by the name of Alodia Ganescu with the caption, "POV, your time machine breaks in Romania 2007, and you find out what really happened to her." For some backstory, in August of 2007, Alodia went missing without a trace. Her husband quickly became the main suspect, Christian, an ex-police officer, with the primary motive thought to be the fact that she was having an affair with somebody else. They never ended up finding Alodia's body, but they found speckles of blood underneath paint that Christian had freshly done in their residence, as well as other objects that were probably involved in the loss of Alodia's life in a nearby ravine. He was sentenced to 22 years behind bars, but he maintains his innocence, swears he didn't do it. This is true, although slightly misleading, or at least I think some people might misinterpret the caption here. This video features images of individuals whose features are a little bit strange to look at, admittedly. With the caption, "POV, you're the first person ever to get plastic surgery." Now, of course, in today's day and age, we all know that people typically get plastic surgery to improve their looks, become more aesthetically appealing. So you might be wondering why somebody would choose to get plastic surgery if this were the result back in the day. The answer is very simple. These guys were war veterans that were disfigured during World War I, and this was really the root of modern day plastic surgery. People would undergo facial reconstruction, they would mold things to make people's face look whole again. This was a way for these soldiers not to get stares when they constantly went out into public, and for them to get their life back when they came back from the war. You might not know the context of this clip, but a lot of people were concerned about what was going to happen in September of 2026, just because the vibe here feels off. And if you're one of those people that feels like the vibe is off here, then you're correct. The man seen here is Taleb Al-Abdul Mohsen, the man accused of the 2024 Magdeburg Christmas market attack that took place in Germany. At the hearing for this alleged crime, which by the way he did admit to, he held up the laptop with a time frame, September of 2026, so a lot of people were worried that another attack was going to take place during this time. Now, while Taleb did not exactly clarify what he meant by this, we can assume that because of his extremely far-right ideology and Islamophobic views, he's probably referencing the 2026 Saxony-Anhalt election with a party called AfD, an extremely far-right party, hopefully winning in his eyes. So probably not an attack. I know the amount of relief that this person's about to feel from this is going to be immense, but still, this video cringed me out like crazy. This video that I got tagged in shows a person doing something I've never seen before, admittedly. They're using a small drill bit and then drilling directly into their nail, where we hear this very off-putting sound. Now, this is not for no reason. The person in this video has something known as a subungual hematoma, which essentially just means bleeding underneath their nail. This can be caused by a variety of different things, but usually this is just the result of a heavy impact, and when this happens, a bunch of pressure can be built up, and it becomes very uncomfortable. Now, what I have seen people do to release pressure here is to get a paperclip red hot and then insert it into the nail bed. Yes, it sounds painful, but it feels great when it starts draining. I've never seen somebody use a drill bit, but I suppose that can work too. You just want to do it within 48 hours, but preferably do it with a doctor so you don't get an infection.
If you see this on the beach, don't pet it.
What is this alcohol?
Before we get into this, yes, I'm aware there's a TikTok filter that's trying to make me look like I'm 15 years old. I tried to remove it. I have no idea how to, so this might be permanent. Just fixed it. Now that we got that out of the way, this is a TikTok video that I got tagged in, shows a person walking up to what looks to be a normal seal on the beach. The seal then perks up and it's revealed that this is no ordinary seal, this is a leopard seal. Leopard seals are one of the very few Arctic predators, and as such, they are dangerous. They can be considered aggressive sometimes too, but surprisingly, attacks on humans are quite rare. That being said, this is not an invitation for you to go up and pet them, even if you think they look cute. There's one well-known human fatality caused by a leopard seal. That is of a marine biologist named Kirsty Bell, who back in 2003 was dragged down by one of these guys, and she ended up drowning. There are other close calls as well, so again, just don't swim at them, keep your distance.
There's no way they survived this swim.
Are you there?
Before I explain what this video is talking about, no, I really do not think that they survived the 1.5-mile swim. The video that you guys just watched shows a very famous ex-prison known as Alcatraz, I'm sure you guys have heard of it, with a simple question: do you really think they survived the 1.5-mile swim? For those unfamiliar, Alcatraz was a small prison on this island right here located in San Francisco Bay, and it was thought to be impossible to escape. That is, until 3 prisoners attempted and succeeded in doing so: Frank, Clarence, and John. They chipped away at their walls until they got into a utility corridor. They then used fake heads to fool the guards while they made their escape. They then had a raft made out of stolen raincoats that they attempted to launch into the bay and get to shore with, but it's unclear as to whether or not they made it to the shore or if they drowned in the bay. If they made it, this is what they might look like now, but it's very unlikely and generally accepted that they died drowning.
This looks genius, but it's really not.
At first glance, this might seem like a genius design idea, but it's not. This doesn't work. This video that I got tagged in shows a car driving on the highway with 4 fans and these wires that lead down into the charging port for the vehicle, and it markets itself as an idea for recharging the car's battery while in motion, basically perpetual energy. Now, this is an idea that's been around for a very long time. Throwing fans on top of the vehicle, the wind turbine generates energy and recharges the car, but it's really not feasible due to the laws of physics because that fan is going to create extra drag on your vehicle, meaning it's not as aerodynamic, and it's going to waste more fuel getting up to speed to charge your vehicle. The only turbine that should be going on top of your vehicle is one that you use when your vehicle is parked to power accessories. This is just a waste of machinery and parts. You're not going to create energy out of nothing. I've got to say, I'm slightly disappointed in social media and the creators sharing this story, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Oh well. This is a story that I've been seeing a lot of lately. This slideshow features an image of a man dressed like a deer, and then this bizarre news article stating a trans-species man who identified as a deer was accidentally shot by hunters. Now, the story here goes that this guy who identified as a deer went out in North Carolina during hunting season into the wilderness to frolic while dressed like a deer, and then was shot and subsequently lost his life later in a hospital. This resulted in a lot of people taking the piss out of the situation, stating if you identify as a deer, we might as well just shoot you anyways, so you identify as a deer. But dude, like 1 minute of research would tell you that this is fake. This story originated from a satirical news website back in 2020, man. You can't take these things literally. I will say this story is very interesting. However, this caption makes it seem like something really bad happened when that's probably not the case. This is another viral TikTok that I got tagged in, shows a woman holding her baby. We can see woolly mammoths in the background, so obviously this was thousands of years ago. The caption says she was carrying her baby, 5 minutes later she dropped him and never stopped running. We then see tracks in the dirt. This video is referring to an archaeological discovery of fossilized human footprints from around 10,000 years ago in New Mexico. These footprints do reveal a woman or a young man carrying a baby, setting that baby down occasionally and walking with them on their hip, but there's no indication that they just dropped the baby and then ran off. Footsteps go out and back. On the way out, the toddler is with them. On the way back, it's not. So the working theory is that the toddler might have been sick, the caregiver walked them to a different camp, and then left to where they came from.
He is definitely not supposed to do this.
Ho ho ho!
Are you supposed to be doing this? No, definitely not. Does this look fun though? Yes, absolutely. This is a TikTok video that I got tagged in. It's a meme, shows a handheld machine on the ground spinning around in a circle. This guy's using this as an opportunity to test his jump rope skills. He's jumping up and over it every single time it comes around. According to my research, I believe what this guy is jumping over is a brush cutter / clearing saw. And specifically, I think he's actually jumping over a Stihl FS 480. Believe it or not, these machines are not built for jump rope. They're used for cutting through tough vegetation. And as is such, if this were to make contact with your leg, even if you're wearing pants, there's a chance that you could get lacerations or cuts, and it probably won't feel very good. In this video though, I don't really see it being that big of a risk. It appears as though he's wearing work boots. I don't think the line is very long on it, and it's going very slow. Honestly, I think the biggest risk here is him damaging his equipment.
So we all just got woken up to some disturbing sound all through the whole area.
You would be forgiven if you woke up in the morning terrified to this sound, but what's creating it is no cause for concern. This is a super viral TikTok video that I got tagged in, recorded in Pace, Florida. This person woke up in the morning and they heard these very loud roaring / hissing sounds coming from nearby. It sounds very industrial, in my opinion. As it turns out, this neighborhood sits very close to a power plant, and what they're hearing here is a steam release. In fact, this is aerial drone footage taken from that neighborhood, and right here we can see the steam plume coming out, so they were periodically releasing the steam, releasing the pressure, and because there's so much pressure being released, this can create that loud hissing sound. Sometimes it's continuous, sometimes it comes in spurts, but if the opening is smaller, it's going to be even louder. If you're curious, I would actually recommend looking this up on YouTube as well, because this will help you put the sound to the visual. It makes a lot more sense. At the time, I don't think he realized it, but these were going to be the final seconds of his life. The video that you guys just watched shows a man by the name of Carl Wallenda performing a tightrope walk between two buildings. Towards the end of the video, he can be seen losing his balance and bending over, and this is right before he falls 121 feet to his demise. For context, Carl Wallenda was a German-American high-wire artist that was born back in 1905 and started performing at the age of 6. He broke numerous world records, at one point doing a skywalk over 1,800 feet in distance, which is mind-blowing. All the while, the majority of his performances never involved any sort of safety net or mechanism to prevent him from falling, so if he fell, he was done. In 1978, at the age of 73, he attempted to walk 121 feet above the ground at the Condado Plaza Hotel in Puerto Rico, where he fell and passed away.
Would you swim here for $1 million?
Offer me $1 billion. I still would not swim in this, and you're crazy if you think otherwise. The video that you guys just watched is very simple. This guy is driving over a bridge that's on top of a river. Everything looks normal at first until he gets out into the middle of the bridge, where we see just how powerful this current is, and apparently this is the Yapacani River. The Yapacani River is located in Bolivia. It's part of the Amazon River Basin. It's a little over 200 miles long, and during the rainy season or high waters, you can see it's very much not safe to swim in. The currents here are extremely dangerous. If you were to jump in, it's highly unlikely that you would survive. Even when it's not the rainy season or on the verge of flooding though, it's still not the safest river in the world to swim in because it doesn't have great visibility, and on top of that, it's home to a ton of caiman. The original question though, jumping into this for $1 million. No, I've seen too many videos of people jumping into things like this and never coming back.
If this keeps happening, see the doctor.
Waking up to this once or twice, really not that big of a deal, but if this is happening all the time, you should definitely schedule a doctor's appointment. This is a very simple TikTok that I got tagged in, shows this person that just woke up in the morning, and they're unable to open their eye even when they use their fingers to try to pry it open, and we can see that it's sealed shut with eye boogers. What people standardly wake up with in the morning, the eye boogers, is referred to as rheum. This is a combination of a bunch of different things, but it's not that big of a deal. If this is happening frequently, there can be a variety of different things causing this abnormal eye discharge, and it's especially a red flag if that discharge has a specific color. This can also be indicative of infections like blepharitis. So again, if this isn't happening very often, you can just take warm water and gently wipe it off and your eye should be able to open. If it's happening all the time, you might as well just schedule an appointment with a doctor. It could be something as simple as dry eyes, and your eyes are just trying to compensate and putting out more fluid than they should. I'll admit, this story is very fascinating. That being said, it's really not been proven, and I don't really believe it. This is a creepy TikTok video that I got tagged in with the caption, "Imagine being a detective only to find out the killer was you." The video then ends on an image of this man associated with one name, Robert Ledru. The story goes that Robert was a French detective back in the 1880s, and he was called to investigate a murder that took place in Le Havre. Murder took place on a beach there, and as it turned out, the killer was barefoot and left their footprints in the sand. Robert noticed that on one of the feet, one of the toes was missing. Coincidentally, he was also missing a toe. This then eventually led him to discover that he was sleepwalking when he took the life of this victim. And while this might seem somewhat plausible, there's only one problem. There really aren't any historic records of this happening, and the only resource of this that you can find online are blog stories.
Hey, Apple! What?
You can't really tell from this photo, but the woman that we're talking about in this video passed away right here in this camp. This Hey Apple slideshow has 3 images. The first one shows a couple, a woman by the name of Kirsten and her boyfriend Thomas. We then get an image of Kirsten climbing up a mountain, and finally the spot that Kirsten would last be alive. This incident happened earlier this year on January 19th, where Kirsten was guided up a mountain by her climbing boyfriend Thomas, specifically Grossglockner Mountain in Austria. At around 8:30 p.m., they essentially got stranded up here. Kirsten was exhausted, dehydrated, hypothermic, and confused. Thomas ended up leaving Kirsten up here and going down at around 2 to 3 a.m. He did call Alpine police a couple of times, put his phone on silent, and Kirsten passed away only 150 feet away from the summit. Thomas is currently being tried for negligent homicide. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, though.
That's right.
Believe it or not, this is actually possible. You just have to be really willing to put in the work, and I think most people probably wouldn't be. This video that I got tagged in shows an Australian magpie carrying an Australian $20 bill and placing it down as though it's been trained to pick these up, which it appears as though it has. As many of you guys probably know, there are species of birds out there that are highly intelligent. We have things like crows, ravens, and magpies. Going down the rabbit hole for research on this video, I found out that there are quite a few trainers that take these young Australian magpies and train them up to do different tasks. There are even tutorials on YouTube if you guys are interested in doing this. One thing that I was concerned about here is whether or not you could get in trouble for having magpies steal money potentially. I think it would be pretty easy to defend because you could just say that you're training it to pick up bills that you might have dropped and that you had no idea it was taking money from some random person.
Here, for example, there is...
I would be willing to bet that probably 90% of the people watching this video have seen this clip before, but don't know the backstory, so I'm going to give you guys that. This video was first uploaded back in 2006 without any context, shows a man talking into a microphone. He then reaches out and grabs these grapes, is subsequently shocked, which I cut out, and then it's just the grapes alone. He fell off to the side. This incident originally happened, though, back in 1996 at a grape festival, and the man seen in the footage here that got electrocuted is Lazier Martins. At this grape festival, there was some sort of wiring issue that caused a 220-volt outlet to pour all of its electricity through one of the wires holding up the grapes. This is more than enough electricity to seriously injure you or potentially even fatally, but Lazier did end up surviving, which is pretty lucky, and he went on to have a long and successful career. As far as I can tell, he is still alive too.